Welcome back. All right, so my second career video of today, we're going to talk about Steve Larmer. We talk a lot about players who maybe you could argue should be in the Hall of Fame. You could make an argument for Steve Larmer. And how strong that argument is really would depend on what criteria you're using to get him in the Hall of Fame. He had the career, the longest consecutive games played streak in Chicago history at 884 games, and it was amazing to watch. He didn't play a really soft style either. This isn't just he got a lot of games in a row, but kind of situation. And he was 120th pick in 1980, so he wasn't, a highly thought of prospect. In 80-81, he only plays 4 games for Chicago and gets 1 assist. 81-82, only 3 games played for Chicago and no points. Doesn't appear in the playoffs either season. So it's a slow start for Larmer, and there really wasn't anything indicating what was going to happen here. And then 82-83, all of a sudden he's a Calder winner. 80 games, 43 goals, 47 assists, and 90 points. So he's an all-rookie. He's on the all-rookie team. He wins the Calder Trophy. In the playoffs, 11 games, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. He had some nice long runs with Chicago, but doesn't get to that ultimate goal with Chicago, right? 83-84, 80 games, 35 goals, 40 assists for 75 points. In the playoffs, 5 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. He's a good producer in the playoffs. And he is part of a line early on in his career with Denny Savard and Al Secord, who probably overshadowed him at every turn. So he was just the third guy. But, point-a-game guy. 84-85, 80 games played, 46 goals. That was 6th overall in the NHL that year. 40 assists for 86 points. 15 games in the playoffs, 9 goals, 13 assists, 22 points. So one of those times that Chicago goes on a bit of a run, and he is a big part of it. 22 points in 15 playoff games. Even though this is the 80s, still pretty good, right? 85-86, 80 games played, 31 goals, 45 assists, 76 points. In the playoffs, 3 assists in 3 games. So again, he's a very reliable scorer. He's reliable, too, that he never misses a game. And as the years go by, people are talking about this a little more, right? 86-87, doesn't miss a game again, 80 games. 28 goals, 56 assists, which is 9th overall in the NHL, and 84 points. In the playoffs, he doesn't record a point in 4 games. So Chicago's a team that goes through some really rough times in the 80s, especially the late 80s, and it had to be frustrating for him because it wasn't like Larmer was leaving anything in the locker room. Everything was left on the ice there. 80 games played the following season, 41 goals, so 40 goals again, 48 assists, 89 points. In the playoffs, 5 games, 1 goal, 6 assists for 7 points. 88-89, 80 games played, 43 goals, 44 assists, 87 points. They go on a bit of a run in 89. 16 games in the playoffs, 8 goals, 9 assists for 17 points. So we're into the Keenan era, and Larmer's a Keenan guy. 90-91, or 89-90, sorry, 89-90. 80 games played again. And I miss that. I know 82 games is the standard. I just think 80 looks cleaner. Anyways, 80 games, 31 goals, 59 assists, 90 points. In the playoffs, 20 games played, as Chicago was on a bit of a run again. 7 goals, 15 assists for 22 points. 90-91, his best offensive season is in 90-91. 80 games played, 44 goals, 57 assists, 101 points, which is 10th. So this is his final 40-goal season. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. He had a 100-point season. Top 10 in scoring, that's the only year. Top 10 in goals once, assists once. Again, if you're trying to make the argument for Hall of Fame, it gets a little dicey at that. But hey, the interesting thing is, he plays 6 playoff games, 5 goals, 1 assist. He ends up 3rd in Selke voting. So back in 91, we're seeing the problem that I have with Selke voting now. That Selke voting seems to depend on scoring. That a really good defensive forward, like a Steve Larmer, who was good at both ends of the ice, suddenly gets more attention when they have a huge offensive season. And I think that's odd, because Selke's supposed to be about both the offense and the defense. But people don't talk about guys being Selke-worthy, it seems, until they have a season like this. 91-92, 80 games played, 29 goals, 45 assists, 74 points. They go to the finals that year. 18 games, 8 goals, 7 assists, 15 points. That's when Chicago went on a long winning streak, sweeping everybody. And then they get to the finals, and Pittsburgh goes, we can do that. And they swept them. So it was a nice run to the finals. It doesn't ultimately have the ending that Chicago fans would have wanted then. 92-93 is final year in Chicago. 84 games. This is where you have the 84-game schedule. 35 goals, 35 assists, 70 points. And in the playoffs, 4 games, 3 assists. Again, reliability, that's Steve Larmer. Doesn't miss a game. Lots of points. Playing really well. And again, he's very, very reliable. So, November 2nd, 1993, there's a 3-way deal. First, his rights are traded to Hartford along with Brian Marchment in exchange for Patrick Poulin and Eric Weinrich. Then, he was traded to the New York Rangers along with the 1994 6th, Nick Kyprios, and Barry Richter in exchange for James Patrick and Darren Turcotte. So for 93-94, and again, this is Keenan brings this guy in, Steve Larmer. Now, also Kyprios, Barry Richter. So, and I had to put B on there just to make sure people didn't go, wait, does he mean Mike Richter got traded to the Rangers? Because Richter never played anywhere else. Doesn't know what he's talking about. So, 93-94, he only plays 68 games. Yeah, the consecutive game streak is over. 21 goals, 39 assists, 60 points. Very reliable scoring from Larmer. And this is the season where he gets that last item that he really would have wanted, and that's the Stanley Cup. 23 games for the Rangers, 9 goals, 7 assists, 16 points. And not really a much heralded member of that Rangers Stanley Cup winner, but he's there. He wins that Stanley Cup, and he finally gets that championship he couldn't get in Chicago. So it's not the same as Ray Bourque in Colorado years later, but it's a similar story, that he gave everything he had to the Chicago organization that just couldn't get over the top, goes somewhere else, and then gets himself that Stanley Cup. 94-95, what would surprisingly be his final season, 47 games, 14 goals, 15 assists, 29 points. And in the playoffs, 10 games, 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Now, he also won at the World Championship in 91. He did win a silver medal with Team Canada. And, so, again, you could make an argument that his career, 1,006 games, that's long enough for the Hall. 441 goals, which is 65th. There are guys with less goals in the Hall of Fame. 571 assists, 1,012 points, which is 88th overall. Same thing. There are guys with less points that are in the Hall. In the playoffs, 140 games played, 56 goals, 75 assists, 131 points. Very good player in the playoffs. Almost a point a game in the playoffs as well, where even back in the 80s, scoring a point a game in the playoffs was very impressive, and it was not an easy feat, because that's when the defense started showing up. That's where it was like, all right, now we got to play defense. Right, got to keep the puck out of the net. Okay, 80s guys, let's go. Let's get this done. But Steve Larmer, good two-way forward who played on some Chicago teams that didn't get a lot of attention. If he had had this career in a Canadian market, he might have been in the Hall of Fame already. And so, yeah, he is one of those players that I wonder if he will get in later, or if that time's just gone, and so it doesn't happen. But either way, excellent career for Steve Larmer, and he did win himself that Stanley Cup to go with that Calder Trophy in his first year. So he's got some hardware. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happen upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.